course the elections will not be rigged. What does that mean? The federal government doesn't run the election process. If Mr. Trump is suggesting that there is a conspiracy theory that is being propagated across the country, that's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense.
President Obama challenged Donald Trump's comments on the election, the presidential election being, quote, rigged, claiming the thought was ridiculous. As per usual, Mr. Trump was quick to respond. Over Twitter, he tweeted, President Obama should ask the DNC about how they rigged the election against Bernie. So who's right with their opinion on this one? My political panel, Democratic strategist Lauren Chivee, Republican strategist Caleb Bonham, and Red Alert politics editor Ron Meyer join us. Ron, I'm going to start with you because I'm going to play devil's advocate here, but the president is accurate. I mean, states control their elections. The majority of states have Republican governors. And I can remember, I'm old enough, I covered the 2004 election. People said that election, because Diebold had the electronic voting machines in Ohio, was rigged. So this is a tough one. You got to be careful with that kind of accusation, don't you?
Well, sure, I think you have to be careful, but I don't think that's what Donald Trump meant, and because that's not what the DNC did with Bernie and with Hillary. What happened is you end up stacking the deck in other ways. Certainly one of the things that he's been playing up in his campaign lately is that Hillary Clinton is getting a ton of money from Wall Street, a ton of money from special interest groups. I think that worked for Bernie Sanders, and I think it could work for Donald Trump, and he should keep playing that. And that's what he means by a rigged election. He's not actually saying the government itself is going to rig anything, but what it could mean is that, certainly President Obama from the Oval Office and the White House itself is being political, and they will release things politically that try to benefit Hillary Clinton in November, but that's mostly with different economic reports and different statements and things like that, not literal rigging.
Let me bring Lauren in this because he does bring up a valid point. I mean, in Virginia, they were trying to change decades upon decades of law and allow felons to vote, which could be part of this.
We've also just seen the Supreme Court throw out multiple efforts at basically voter suppression through voter ID laws, which have been consistently shown to actually exclude minorities from the voting rolls. So, look, I mean, this whole, it's really unfortunate, I think, this whole discussion about rigged or not rigged. Of course, it's not rigged. It's completely ridiculous. And the net effect of this conversation is that it discourages people to participate in the political process. And the reality is, and this is the irony of Trump bringing this up, someone who wants to disrupt the status quo, when we have low voter turnout in this country, that actually supports the status quo. When people don't show up for the polls, we wind up having the same candidates reelected and reelected and reelected. So it's a real disservice to our democracy when we start to question this. I think there are problems in the states that need to be addressed, but that is not a national issue. That's a state-by-state issue. And as you said, the majority of American states are now controlled by Republican governors.
So let's move forward and get to this issue. The alleged top Republican Trump intervention that is said to be happening. Is it real, and do you think it's needed? I want to go to Ron on this one. I'm sorry, to Caleb on this one. Is an intervention needed? I mean, that word intervention itself sounds so, I don't even know where it comes from, but we do know Republicans are upset with Mr. Trump.
Yes, they are. I think that Mr. Trump does need to step up, and he does need to start acting more presidential. I think there is no doubt about that, and this previous segment was a pure example of that. Talking about how the elections are going to be rigged, you might as well be setting yourself up for failure. I don't know why that is coming in to the discussion at a time like this. I mean, this country is facing so many difficult issues that it needs to overcome. We're talking about the potential of there being rigged elections. Yes, the DNC had their problems, but the fact that the Trump campaign is focusing on issues like that, focusing on issues of the family that lost, the four-star family that lost their son, their Muslim son, as an American soldier. I mean, these are not issues that a presidential candidate should be focusing on post-convention heading into November. He needs to beef it up a little bit and show leadership.
And on that, you get the last word. Lauren Chivee, Caleb Bonham, and Ron Meyer, thank you very much for joining us.